Second. Cheryl, would you do a roll call for us?
Yep, give me 2 seconds. Have online Chris Lounsbury, Kyla Leonards, Melissa Fisher, Jason Emery, MCAT, and in the room we have Allison Franz, Andrew Chorney, Kelly McGuire, Carrie Powers, Commissioner Slotnick, and Barrow, she's hiding over there, and Brian West.
Oh, she's fine.
Yeah.
and Ann Hughes. Thank you.
Thanks, Cheryl. Okay, before we dive in, do we have any public comment on items not on the agenda?
Pet Commissioner, voting
Yes.
closes.
Yeah.
Till the end of the
please.
month, Pet Commissioner, we have what, 17 entries? Go to the county voice and vote for your favorite pet.
All right, thank you. Okay, we're on to the consent agenda. Is there anything on this consent agenda anyone would like to pull out and talk about?
No, I move to approve the consent agenda.
Okay, any public comment on this? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Thanks. Okay, we have one action item and Kelly came all the way over to be here in person. Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Like, why not?
Yeah, no, it's way better. It's way better. So what do you have going on today?
Yeah, so this is an amendment for our subrecipient agreement with it used to be with Inner Roads. And so Inner Roads was its own nonprofit
I remember.
and and has kind of, it used to be under Youth Homes.
Yep. It
And
started
since
under
it's-
youth homes.
Right. And so since they became their own, it has been a really like shoestring operation. And then we got this federal grant to help support them and they have closed without it. And so they had kind of entered into a period of like, we really need to be sustainable. Like this isn't sustainable. They have amazing staff who are great at programming, but not administration, like not their thing.
Yeah.
It's not for everybody. So they negotiated being absorbed by Families First.
Okay.
And so this amendment is for Families First to take over that subrecipient agreement. However, they also haven't had a federal grant before, so they are, in the amendment, you'll notice it says they are delinquent on invoicing us, and they're just, so it's in writing that we're gonna get everything in by the end of October, so. And I think they'll be able to do that. They're getting a lot of technical assistance from the Montana Board of Crime Control, but federal grants are hard. And
Yeah.
the Board of Crime Control was audited by the federal government. And as a result, they have gotten super strict. And so like all of their subrecipients are struggling to like give them what they want. So it's just a learning curve.
So I was gonna say more about Families First because this is a nonprofit, tell me about the organization.
Yeah,
I
so-
vaguely, I know the mission, but like,
Right.
yeah.
Well, and I'm not an expert, but so they used to be the Children's Museum and then now they're in the public library and they're expanding. They're not a children's museum anymore. And so they've expanded into doing a lot of different projects. And so I believe they took on Inner Roads because Bree Shulman, the former executive director, is a really amazing clinician and they wanted a clinical director to support some of their other programming. And so I think that's the extent of my Families First expertise.
I'm emerging.
Flanagan started them a long time ago. So they
Okay.
had a real clinical focus
Oh,
for
okay.
forever. And then I think the museum grew out of what was first perspective.
Right.
So I wanted to say
Emerging
one,
Parenting Place, I think was
I
Families
think
First, sorry.
We have a lot
Yeah.
of nonprofits.
I want to say one thing on Inner Roads and then ask you a question.
Uh-huh.
So for anybody who's listening, what is Inner Roads? It's wilderness therapy for kids who can't pay for it. So
Mhm.
wilderness therapy's been around forever. Sometimes it's, the word therapy isn't even included, but something like Knowles or Outward Bound, it's sort of like a personal development rather than therapy, rather than like personal repair, it's personal development. Oh, you can spend a whole lot of money if your kid's super messed up and go the full-on wilderness therapy route, but it costs an insane sum of money.
Right.
Inner Roads was started years ago to make this opportunity available to kids who were at youth homes who didn't really even have functioning families. And the benefits from this wilderness therapy are super great in terms of personal development.
Mhm.
They've done great work for a long time. So how is it that your office got involved in all this?
Yeah, so These are federal funds from the Office of Juvenile Delinquency Prevention. I have to like think on the acronyms to make sure I'm getting these all right. And so it's through the Board of Crime Control. So it's federal funds that are dispersed by our state administering agency. And there's a limitation on the funding that only schools or government can apply. And so
Oh,
Interroads
okay.
is not able to apply.
Got it.
And so the Board of Crime Control had reached out to us and said, you know, would you be willing to
That makes sense.
be the direct recipient and have a sub-recipient? And so we did that because there weren't a lot of other applicants, and it was like, this is a federal opportunity that these funds would just go away. And it seemed like we needed to be able to sustain that program for Missoula, so, yeah.
Great, thank you.
Thank you for that. I move that the board approve the subrecipient agreement amendment with Families First. Oh, sorry, Dave.
Did I miss it?
Not yet. I just made a motion.
All right, do we have any more public comment?
What are we voting on?
Well, do you want a
We're,
second?
getting- we're condemning a house on Pine Street. Eminent
Red
domain.
roof.
Okay, I'm all for that.
A subrecipient grant to Interroads.
Oh, yes.
Good, it's totally worthwhile. So, okay, so any public comment on this? All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks. It's really great that this opportunity is available to people who otherwise couldn't afford to pay for it, because it's a transformative effect on kids.
Yeah, and I'm hoping Interroads being at Families First is gonna make it sustainable
yeah.
and
Provide an anchor of stability.
continue, yeah.
I think it's a really good thing, and it's wonderful that we get to be the royal we through your work. Involved in this. Thanks, Guy.
Yeah.
All right, do we have any other discussion items?
I don't see Adrian on.
I heard it was rainy.
It's raining.
Yeah, NWS reported last night that the River Road East Fire near Paradise got over an inch of rain.
Nice.
That's great news.
It's really exciting.
Yeah, because that had burned
What did that-
structures, closed the highway, and it was a really scary
And it
place.
started on Friday, I
It
think.
was one up to what, 12,000 acres?
Like,
Wow.
Yeah, it was wild.
there's a couple really wonderful orchards up there
Oh.
that just,
Oh, really?
it took many, many decades to be their current glory. It would be super horrible to see them burned.
Did they get burned?
I haven't heard.
Um,
I'm sure the irrigation was flying continually. Right at the confluence of the Flathead and the Clark Fork, that's where the two orchards are. Just right there.
So Carrie, what it, just said that about the rain. didn't
It was
say
just about rain,
anything
yeah,
about the-
not about fire activity.
That's a huge amount of rain.
Yeah, apparently, I mean, the NWS also reported that yesterday, I love all the different metrics that NWS keeps. Montana broke its record for rain specifically from a tropical storm. The state got-
Because how many tropical storm rains do we get?
Over 2
Yeah.
inches of rain. And then it was like a map of all the different ones going back to like 1920. Like, when
Yeah.
did North Dakota get their
They're tropical
record
storm.
rain tropical storm? I love it.
It was the
NWS, we love you, just if you're still out there.
the rare climate change silver lining. There's a hurricane in the Pacific. My God, it's never-
Yeah, no.
But
that
we
is-
got a little
We got a
rain.
little rain on it.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Okay, we're talking about nothing.
Yeah.
Goodbye, everybody. Thanks for coming.